Welcome back to Intimate Confession, where we bring you another captivating tale of passion and unexpected connections. If you enjoy these intriguing stories, don't forget to subscribe to our channel for more enticing narratives. My name is Lisa, a 42-year-old stepmom who never imagined I would find myself caught in such a complicated web of emotions. My husband David is a highly successful businessman, often glued to his phone or buried deep in work. While I genuinely appreciate his dedication to his career, it frequently leaves me feeling isolated and neglected, longing for the connection we once shared. As the days turned into weeks, I found myself yearning for companionship and intimacy, craving the affection that had gradually faded from our relationship. The nights felt particularly lonely, with David's footsteps echoing through our spacious home as he retreated to his study, leaving me in the silence of what used to be a lively and vibrant household. I deeply missed the thrill of romance, the warmth of a tender embrace, and the excitement that came with feeling desired. My thoughts often wandered to my stepson, Alex, a striking 24-year-old who had recently moved back home after completing his college education. Alex had always been respectful and polite, the kind of young man you could rely on. Yet there was an undeniable chemistry between us, a connection that was hard to ignore. He had blossomed into a remarkably handsome young man, and I often found myself stealing glances at him, feeling my heart race whenever our eyes met. I knew it was wrong to entertain such thoughts, but the more I tried to push my feelings away, the stronger they seemed to grow. One afternoon, after a long, dreary day of waiting for David to come home, I decided to change clothes and do something to lift my spirits. Catching my reflection in the mirror, I sighed, wishing for the days when I felt beautiful and desired. I made my way to the bedroom, hoping to lose myself in thoughts of what could be, allowing my imagination to run wild for a while. Just as I was about to put on a silk robe, I heard the door creak open unexpectedly. It was Alex, returning home earlier than I had anticipated. "Hey, Lisa," he said casually, a bright smile illuminating his face as he stepped inside. My heart raced, and I instinctively grabbed my robe to cover myself, but it was too late. Alex's eyes widened as he took in the sight of me. "Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt," he stammered, his gaze lingering a moment longer than appropriate. "It's fine," I replied, trying to maintain my composure. "I was just changing." A flush crept up my cheeks as we stood there in awkward silence, the air thick with unspoken tension. I could sense a shift between us, an electric current that was impossible to ignore. Alex shifted his weight from one foot to the other, his eyes flicking back to mine as if he were contemplating something significant. "I should probably go," he finally said, taking a step back toward the door. "Wait," I called out, my voice barely above a whisper. "You don't have to leave. We can talk." He hesitated, his gaze searching mine, the desire bubbling beneath the surface but almost tangible, and I knew I had to take a chance. "Alex, I've been feeling a bit lonely lately. It's hard being here without David around." "I know," he replied, his voice low and serious. "We haven't really connected like we could. It's been strange with him so busy all the time." I took a deep breath, feeling a surge of courage. What if we spent some time together, just the two of us? To my surprise, a smile broke across his face. "I'd like that." Drawn by an invisible force, I stepped closer to him, the space between us shrinking until we were just inches apart. I could feel the warmth radiating from his body. "The chemistry between us is undeniable," I said softly. "Alex, I want to be honest. I've thought about you a lot more than I should." "Me too," he admitted, stepping closer, a nervous excitement evident in his voice. In that moment, all my fears faded away. I leaned in, capturing his lips with mine. The kiss was tentative at first, but it quickly deepened, igniting a fire within me that I hadn't felt in years. His hands found their way to my waist, pulling me closer as we melted into each other. I broke the kiss, breathless and exhilarated. "This is so wrong," I murmured, my heart racing with confusion and excitement. "Maybe, but it feels so right," he replied, his voice husky with desire. Before I could think about the consequences, I pulled him back into another kiss, my fingers tangling in his hair. The kiss quickly turned more passionate, his hands exploring my back as I pressed against him. I could feel the heat radiating from his body, and every touch sent shivers down my spine. As we broke apart, I looked into his eyes, seeing the same mix of excitement and fear reflected back at me. "Are we really doing this?" I whispered, feeling breathless and alive. "Yes," he said firmly, gripping my shoulders and pulling me closer. "I want this, Lisa. I've wanted you for a long time." With those words, I felt emboldened, fueled by a desire I could no longer suppress. I stepped back slightly and took his hand, leading him toward the bed. The moment felt surreal, yet I was ready to embrace it wholeheartedly. As we sat on the edge of the bed, I leaned in closer, our lips meeting again with more urgency this time. Alex's hands roamed my body, exploring every curve as I melted into his touch. I could feel the heat building between us, igniting a fire I hadn't felt in years. My fingers traced along his jawline, and I could see the desire burning brightly in his eyes. "Let's not hold back," I whispered breathlessly, exhilarated by my newfound boldness. With a nod, he leaned in again, kissing me deeply, pressing against me with a palpable eagerness. My hands explored his chest, feeling the solid muscles beneath his shirt, and I knew I wanted more. Slowly, I pushed him back onto the bed, feeling the thrill of taking control. "I never expected this," he breathed, his hands gripping my hips tightly. "Neither did I replied, my voice low and sultry. "But it feels too good to stop now." As we continued kissing, our bodies moved in perfect harmony. I slid my hands under his shirt, exploring his toned abdomen and feeling the warmth of his skin. He let out a soft groan, the sound sending shivers down my spine. "God, Lisa, you're incredible," he whispered, his hands moving to my back, pulling me closer as I pressed against him. His gaze fueled my confidence, making me feel alive in a way I hadn't in years. "I want to feel you," I whispered, my voice thick with longing. "Then let's not waste any more time," he said, his hands finding the hem of my robe and gently parting it. A thrill of excitement washed over me as I allowed myself to be vulnerable, feeling his eyes appreciate every inch of me. "You're beautiful," he murmured, leaning in to kiss my collarbone. His touch ignited a fire within me that spread like wildfire. I'd let myself succumb to the pleasure, his hands roaming over my body, sending waves of sensation through me. As the night went on, we lost ourselves in each other, our whispered words and soft moans filling the room as we surrendered to our desires. It felt like freedom, like liberation, a sense of passion I hadn't experienced experienced in years. Just as the intensity began to settle, I leaned into him, breathless and exhilarated. But then the doorbell rang, jolting me out of my blissful state. "What was that?" I asked, my heart racing as reality came crashing back. "It's probably your husband," Alex said, his eyes wide with panic. "David wasn't supposed to be home for hours," I exclaimed, scrambling to fix my robe. "Quick, we have to hide." We sprang into action, frantically pulling ourselves together. Just as I managed to look somewhat presentable, I heard David's voice coming down the hallway. "Lisa, are you home?" he called out, cheerful and blissfully unaware of the tension hanging in the air. Yeah, I'm in the bedroom," I called back, trying to sound calm as I glanced at Alex, who looked equally panicked. "Stay quiet," I whispered urgently, and he quickly slipped into the closet just as David entered the room. David smiled at me. "I didn't think you'd be home. How was your day?" "Just the usual," I replied, forcing a smile and doing my best to act normal. "How was yours?" "Busy as always," he sighed, stepping closer. "But I thought I'd take a break and spend some quality time with you." I nodded, feeling a confusing mix of guilt and excitement. I could still feel Alex's presence in the room, his warmth lingering in the air. I tried to push those thoughts aside as I engaged with David, who seemed oblivious to the tension. We settled onto the couch later, making small talk, but my mind kept wandering back to the intensity of my moments with Alex. A few days later, David was out for another late-night meeting, leaving me alone at home once again. My thoughts drifted back to Alex, to the thrill of feeling desired and alive. Hoping to ease my restlessness, I decided to take a long, relaxing bath, lighting a few candles and letting the warm water soothe me. But even then, memories of Alex's touch returned, igniting a fire that refused to fade. Just then, a soft knock at the door pulled me from my thoughts. Wrapping a towel around myself, I opened the door to find Alex standing there, a mischievous grin lighting up his face. "Hey," he said, his eyes sparkling. "I hope I'm not interrupting anything." "Not at all," I replied, my heart racing. "Come in." As he stepped into the bathroom, a rush of excitement coursed through me. "I was just taking a bath," I said, trying to keep my composure. "Looks inviting," he replied, his gaze lingering on me. "Mind if I join you?" I hesitated, my pulse quickening, but the pull was too strong to resist. "Sure, why not?" Without a word, he closed the door behind him, the atmosphere charged with anticipation. I watched, breath-catching, as he undressed, revealing his toned body. Every part of me ached to touch him, to explore him. He slipped into the tub beside me, the warm water surrounding us in a cocoon of intimacy. We exchanged nervous glances before our lips met in a heated kiss, water splashing around us as I melted into him. His hands found my waist, pulling me closer, and I tangled my fingers in his hair. Our kisses deepened, filled with hunger and desire as we once again lost ourselves in each other. I could feel the warmth of his body pressing against mine, igniting a fire that spread through me. "You're even more beautiful than I remember," Alex whispered against my lips, his breath warm on my skin. I smiled, flattered, "And you're more irresistible every time I see you." With newfound confidence, I pushed him back against the tub, straddling him as I pressed my body against his. The water swirled around us, but I was lost in the sensation of his skin against mine. My fingers traced down his chest, savoring the feel of his muscles under my touch. "Lisa," he breathed, his voice filled with longing. "You have no idea how much I've wanted this." "Show me," I replied, my voice sultry as I leaned in for another kiss. This time it was more fervent, the world outside fading as we explored each other with an urgency that only deepened. The water mingled with our desires, our kisses growing more insistent. I could feel his hands exploring every curve of my body, igniting my senses, sending shivers down my spine. I leaned back slightly, allowing him to kiss down my neck, savoring the sensation of his lips against my skin. "God, Alex," I gasped, my body arching toward him, craving more. With a low growl of desire, he cupped my face, his thumbs brushing over my cheeks as he pulled me in for another searing kiss. The heat between us built to a powerful force, drawing us closer, urging us to give in. Lost in the moment, my hands roamed his body, tracing over his shoulders and down his arms as he deepened our kiss. Each movement stoked the passion between us. Suddenly, I felt a surge of boldness, and I pulled back slightly, meeting his gaze. "Let's take this further," I whispered, my heart racing with anticipation. "Are you sure?" he asked, his voice thick with desire. "I've never been more sure of anything in my life," I replied, my pulse quickening. With that, we surrendered fully, our bodies entwining as the warm water enveloped us. Our breaths mingled, the heat between us building as we lost ourselves in the pleasure of being together. Hours seemed to slip away as we explored each other, our connection deepening with each touch, each kiss. Eventually, as the water began to cool around us, we pulled apart slightly, gazing into each other's eyes. I felt exhilarated, alive in a way I hadn't experienced in years. But just as we began to relax, the sound of the front door echoed through the house. We exchanged panicked glances. "David's home!" I exclaimed, panic rising within me. "Quick! We have to get out of here!" Alex said, scrambling out of the tub. We hurriedly dried off and threw on our clothes, the tension thick as we tried to make ourselves presentable. Just as I finished adjusting my hair, I heard David's voice calling out, "Lisa, I'm back!" "We need to hide," Alex whispered urgently, glancing toward the door. I nodded and we both ducked into the closet, hearts racing as we heard David enter the bathroom. The two of us stood close together in the darkness, our breaths mingling as we waited for the tension to ease. David began washing his hands at the sink, blissfully unaware of the recent chaos. "How was your day, Lisa?" he asked, his tone casual. "Just relaxing," I replied, my heart pounding as I exchanged a nervous glance with Alex. After a few tense moments, David finished and left the bathroom, allowing us to finally breathe a sigh of relief. "Wow, that was close," Alex whispered, his eyes wide with excitement. "I know, I can't believe we just—" I began, but before I could finish, he leaned in and kissed me softly, reigniting the thrill we had just shared. "We can't stop now," he murmured, his voice low with urgency. "This is just the beginning." My heart raced again, caught between the thrill of our secret and the reality of my life with David. Yet, deep down, I knew that whatever was happening between Alex and me was something I couldn't resist. I was ready to embrace this new chapter, wherever it might lead us. As we stepped out of the closet, the air was thick with possibility. We both knew our lives would never be the same again. The thrill of the forbidden lingered, and I was ready to dive deeper into this unexpected romance, no matter what it took.